good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. And welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us today. And today's webinar is titled Funding Your Study Abroad Dreams, Proof of Funds and Loan. And it is hosted by SeamlessVisa. We'll get right into that, where you get to know more about everything we have in store for you. But before we dive in, I want us to do something real quick. So I know typically I like to say, oh, okay, what country are you joining us from? Because we have a lot of people from different countries. So you can also rep your country in the chat box. And also something else I want to see is drop an emoji to show me how you're feeling right now. Like, what is your mood right now? How excited or anticipated, how are you feeling right now about this webinar? I like to see some emojis in the chat box. Let's go. Oh, yay. I'm seeing love. I'm seeing, oh, okay. Oh, great. Awesome stuff. Awesome. I'm also excited as well. I'm also excited. Thank you so much. Awesome. So, today's webinar is all about you and all about the questions that you've been asking us over the past few weeks. So we've had a lot of questions around proof of funds, loans, how can I secure my student visa, how can I get loan to study abroad, and all of that. And now we are organizing this to help you. We have our experts on board, right, who would help you with your study abroad process, explain everything you need to know about proof of funds, about loans, how to secure loans to support your study abroad journey, as well as how we, SeamlessVisa, can support you. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'll be sharing my screen so we can just follow through with what we're doing. Thank you. So just like I mentioned, the topic of today's webinar is funding your study abroad dreams. We're talking about proof of funds as well as loans. And of course, I am your moderator, or for myself, host for today. So as a digital content strategist at SeamlessVisa, I specialize in crafting engaging informative content that helps individuals navigate the US visa process with confidence. With over 7 years of experience in communications, content strategy, and brand storytelling, I'm passionate about using digital platforms to educate and empower people in making informed decisions about their academic and professional futures. And my name is Peace Samuel, so I'm happy to be here. So just a couple of house rules before we get right into the first segment. So of course, everyone is muted, so you cannot speak, but I would say use the chat box for any question you have while a section is going on. Feel free to drop your question in the chat box, and I'll be noting it down, so it will be taken and addressed during the designated Q&A segment. Also, let us be respectful. Let's maintain a respectful and positive environment. No use of inappropriate language in the chat box either. And if you're having technical issues, just feel free to drop a message in the chat and someone will reach out to assist you in one way or the other. And finally, stay connected with us. So follow SeamlessVisa on all our social media platforms because we share a lot of scholarship updates, a lot of information you need about your study abroad journey. So today, we're going to be touching on 3 major segments. And the first segment is talking about your proof of funds playbook. The second segment is how to fund your study abroad dreams with loans. Then finally, SeamlessVisa being your study abroad bridge. And what do we want you to take away from this webinar? So first thing, we want you to understand what proof of funds really mean because we've gotten a whole lot of questions regarding that. So we want you to understand, what does proof of funds actually mean? What are the requirements, right? How can I handle lump sums? How can I do sponsored documentation? Also, how does international students work? Am I eligible? What are the repayment terms? What's the visa acceptance using proof of funds? And how SeamlessVisa can also support your entire study abroad journey from school choice to your visa application. And these are our amazing panelists, our speakers for today. We have Adewale Bakare. He is an international student recruiter at SeamlessVisa. We also have Chibuzo Jibuno. He is a loan and financial service manager Africa for Apply Board. And we have Osehena Awudu, who is a co-founder and chief operations officer at SeamlessVisa. So our first speaker for today is going to be Adewale Bakare. And Adewale is an international student recruiter with over 6 years of experience in fulfilling travel dreams for students at Seamless Visa. He's passionate about helping more students achieve their study abroad dreams the right way. So, Wale, thank you so much. His segment is talking about your proof of funds playbook. So, thank you so much for being here, and over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Please confirm you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope we're all doing good today. It's a very sunny Saturday. We're thankful for the weather and what we are about to discuss today. It being a very important topic in the travel abroad space, and really looking forward to sharing insights, and we hope to hear your questions at the end of each of the sessions. You could take that down as the session is going on, and then we'll treat it later. Right? What is proof of funds? When you think about putting your application together for any country, be it the US, UK, Canada, the Schengen area as well. What does proof of fund really mean? From our definition here, proof of fund means showing that an individual has sufficient financial resources available to cover tuition, living expenses, and other costs of their travel or while they are in that country. Why do visa officers care about your proof of funds, right? I think the most important thing they want to be sure of is that they are sure that the students can support themselves without working, right? Even if it's legally applicable to work as a student in most of these countries, right? The visa officers want to be assured that as a student on a study visa, you are not working overtime, to cater for your finances while you're studying in their country and becoming a financial burden to the country as well. We can move to the next page. What embassies require and why? Yes, thank you. Um, in embassies, across different countries, there are different, arrangements for your proof of funds. According to our slides here, just to go over the list, we have tuition fees, living expenses, and then sometimes your return, tickets, flights, right? So sometimes there are countries where you won't require to, show that, you are returning to your own country by your tickets, right? So most of these countries, well, most of the ones that we know, like Canada, the UK, and the US, for instance, you have to be able to show the proof that you are financially stable to, cover your trip, right? Your tuition expenses for 1 year at least, and then your living expenses as well. Students, embassies want to also know that students will not, depend on legal employment or working overtime. For Canada, for instance, you are allowed to work 24 hours per week, right? You could work full time on campus if you're in Canada, and of course, working on campus full time would mean your institution would manage that schedule for you. So you are not working even more than that 24 hours, right? But if you're working off campus, you are limited to work 24 hours per week. That's in Canada. In the US, they are limited hours to work as well as an international student. Um, I wouldn't want you to have it at the back of your mind that when you get to these countries and then you're going to school, you think you can work way over time and try to pay your tuition or settle your fees, with those employment and those gigs that you get. Um, while some try to attempt that, we can all know from we can ask people that are there, to know how the experience is, with them, and they can tell you how it is, how difficult it is to try this particular feature. So the embassies want to know that your fees are genuine, fees you are showing in your documents are genuine, they are accessible, and they are sufficient for the full duration of your study. If you can't provide, the total fees for your study in these countries, right? Let's say you're going for a 4-year, program in these countries, right? You might just have, the first year to show, right? But they want to see the proof that can this person pay for the subsequent years of their studies, right? So embassies want to see that as well. If I go to the next slide, please. So now we will be talking about proof of funds requirements by country, right? You could put it in the chat box. What is your study dream country? Is it the UK? Is it Canada? Is it US? Or is it somewhere in Europe? You can just put it in the chat box. I'd like to see your answers while we wait for the next screen. Yeah, where are we going? Where would we like to study in 2026? Australia. Thank you. Pressure says Australia. Anyone else? Where would we like to study abroad? Israel. Thank you very much. Ramon, you could use the chat box to put your country. We'll receive questions later. Thank you very much. Thank you. You can keep your answers coming on. You can use the chat box to drop your study abroad destinations where you'd like to study. Okay, so I believe we can proceed. The proof of funds requirements by countries. First, we'll be looking at Canada, right? What comprises as proof of funds, right? What are the requirements, the documents you need to put together that would amount for your proof of funds in Canada? First is your tuition and living expenses, right? In Canada, as of September 1st, 2025, you need to have about 22,895 Canadian dollars as your living expenses fee for 1 year, right? So if you are attending a program, let's say that's 2 years, right? You must show your living expenses for 1 year, and then you must have paid your tuition for the first year of your study, right? That's if you're going for a program that's at least 1 year, right? So if you're going for a 2-year program, for instance, let's say a master's degree, you should have paid your first year's tuition and then show proof of funds for your living expenses and then your return ticket, right? So that being said, if you have your living expenses fee of 22,895, and then let's say your tuition is 20,000, for instance, that's about 42,895, and then your return ticket fee as well, let's say about $3,000, comprising all of that together is amounting to 45,000, right? That is the amount you need to show in your proof of funds document that you have readily available for your study, right? And then in your documents that you attach with your bank statements and other receipts of payments that you've made, you should show the visa officer that you have the means, right? I'm sure most of you are familiar with the IRCC's portal, for instance, right? They have like dedicated areas where you upload your documents. In most of their portal, I think they have like 2 portals, right, with different languages, right? So for a particular segment, you will see proof of means of financial support, right? And sometimes you see proof of funds, right? Those mean totally different things, right? If you want to show proof of means of financial support, you should show the means of how you can support yourself financially, right? While you're studying in Canada. So that is what they want to see, right? So if you are able to show that, and then you have your bank statements, Canada accepts 4 to 6 months of your bank statements, right? If you have 6 months of your bank statements also, which is also fine, but Canada will accept 4 to 6 months, right? You could have that with a GIC. A GIC is a guaranteed investment certificate, right? It's usually, offered by Canadian banks, right? With a sum of at least 20,000 Canadian dollars. Right. So when you have this fee in a GIC, for instance, that particular fee shows the visa officer that while you're studying, these funds would be remitted to you on a monthly basis, right? So it could be $2,000 every month that will be remitted from that GIC to be able to take care of yourself in Canada. Let's say you want to take care of your immediate needs, for instance. So GICs are mostly for the best way to cover the aspects for your living expenses, right? Because they help you protect how you spend money, and so you don't go over the limit in, a GIC, for instance. If you have scholarships as well, you can also present that in your proof of funds, and then loans as well. If you have a loan or your program is supported by a loan by, let's say, an external financial institution, for instance, you would have to show a letter, an official letter from that financial institution offering you that loan, right? And then it would be very, very important to also explain how you intend to take care of that loan after your study, right? And then other documents to show assets and source of financial stability. Yes, just to buttress more on, what I've been talking about, you have to show the visa officer that you have assets back in your own country, and then other sources of financial stability. Let's say you still have a revenue income, or you have sources to show that you're still getting money, right? It could be your business, it could be an investment as well. Things to show them, or it could be an employment, right? An active employment. Or let's say you're on study leave from your employment, for instance, right? You can just documents and things to show that you can still take care of yourself, while you are in Canada. The next country we'll be looking at is the US. In the US, there is no specified, minimum amount to show for your living expenses, right? They want to know that you have enough. So with that, you can use the monthly fee range, or you call it the expense range, right? In the US, you can show a specified amount that can take care of your needs for a month. That's for your living expenses as well. Also for your tuition, you should be able to show 1 year of your tuition, right, in your bank statements as well. The US accepts 3 months bank statements. So you might necessarily not have to provide, full 6 months, just like every other country would require, right? Proof of scholarship, right? It's very important. We know the US is very, I call it very generous when it comes to scholarship applications. They're not like Canada, right? The US is very, very generous when it comes to scholarships. If you receive a scholarship or grant from your university, it would be indicated on your form I-20, on your I-20 letter, right? And then the fees listed in your I-20 can be summed up and then showed as the total fees you need to have in your bank account, and then you can present it as your proof of funds. Yes, if you have a valid employment that you probably return to after your studies, these would show also the visa officer that after your studies you'll be returning to your own country as well, right? These are the things that make the embassies and visa officers be assured that you are financially stable. The next country we'll be looking at is the United Kingdom, the UK, right? We know in cities like London, right, which is the most expensive in London, you would have to have £1,483 per month, right? So let's say your program is a 2 year program, for instance, and we know the living expenses, or we call it the study period for a year is 9 months, right? So in the UK, you need to show £1,483 per month if you're schooling in the London area, right? For 9 months, right? You summarize all of that up, and then your tuition for those for that year, right? For the first year, and then also your flight as well, your return tickets for your trip, right, after your studies as well. So you add all of that up, and then that would amount to the funds you have to show in your bank statements. So in the UK, there is a 28-day rule, as we all know. Most of us would know in the UK, you need to show the total of this sum in your bank account. The funds you need should be the closing balance you have, and it should have been there consistently for the past 28 days, right? So when you have those funds, after those 28 days, you can now put in your application for a study permit or a study visa, right, in the UK. That is how that works for the UK. And then the last area we'll be looking at is the Europe, right, the Schengen areas. How do you show for funds for these particular areas? We can say the Europe is also quite generous, and then they're patient, right? When it comes to money, most of the schools request their tuition in installments, right? You can pay between 3 to 10 installments, right? In some schools and in some countries as well. Uh, and sometimes most of these countries or some institutions in these countries request the full tuition for the first year of your study, right? So if you want to apply to any country in Europe, it is very, very, advisable to show your proof of funds for 1 year, right? Just to be safe, right? You need to show that you are able to, pay for those installment payments, right? Could be every month. It could be bi-monthly or however way the school, wants to run that program for their students, right? You can reach out to the financial, office of that school, and then, they'll make information available to you. The UK also accepts 3 to 6 months of bank statements or blocked accounts, right? Blocked accounts could also mean fixed deposit accounts as well, right? So if you have those as well, those would, be good for proof of funds, right? To show proof of funds for these countries as well. Um, the next topic in this segment would be lump sum, right? This is a very, very important, um, topic in when we talk about proof of funds, right? Um, Visa officers often find inconsistencies in your bank statements, right? So let's say, for instance, Taye is an employed banker that receives 500,000 naira as monthly, salary, right? Those are the consistent balances that enters his account, right, every month. Now, Taye wants to go and study in Canada, for instance, right? And then all of a sudden, before he puts in his study permit application, Taye receives 50 million naira in his account at once, right? And then Taye did not properly explain where that money came from, right? We can see the gap, 500,000 naira and 50 million naira. 50 million naira stand out as a lump sum in Taye's accounts because it is very, very inconsistent and it is very, very unusual, for him to receive that kind of money, right? And then visa officers would, raise a suspicion to that kind of transaction, right? It would lead to them trying to scrutinize Taye's documents even more to know if is this person, able to take care of himself in our country. These funds that I received, was it borrowed, right? Those are the things the, lump sums will count, to a visa officer. They want to know how that sum came to be. If you have lump sums in your bank statements, or there are even not one, but there are like numerous, accounts of lump sums in your account or credits, right? These lump sums must be properly, explained, right, in your letter of explanation or your SOP, right? So statement of purpose. You should clearly explain these sums and give the visa officer an assurance that this fund that came in at this particular time and in this amount belongs to so and so, right? So let's say you've just received a payment from an investment, for instance, right? You could label that transaction as a reimbursement on your investment or a maturity that your investment or you could just state it there that your investment has matured, right? And then it was paid into your account. So now you take it back, right? How did you come about the funds for the investment in the first place, right? You would also provide proof for that and explain it, right? So lump sums are, let me just give you an example. Lump sums are best if you work backwards, right? You have to explain lump sums backwards, right? So the lump sum enters your account, The reason for that lump sum is the maturity of your investment. How did you come about the investment in the first place? Or you've been saving up the money to come about the sum that you invested in, let's say 2 years ago, for instance. So do you have documents to show for that? Yes, you provide it as well, right? So that's how to explain how lump sums, are come to be in your bank statements. It could be sale of properties, sale of your car or your land or whatever. It could also be a gift, right? Huge amounts that are inconsistent that enters your account could also be a gift, right? But just make sure that these sums are properly narrated in your bank statement, and then you have documents to back them up. Yeah, like I said, supporting explanations with documents. Yes, you have to show documents to these lump sums and then your explanations as well. The next topic we'll be talking about is sponsors, right? Using sponsor funds. Now, this is also very important. Who can be your sponsor when you want to, study abroad, right? And I'll put it out there. I'll tell you that anybody could be your sponsor, right? The only difference is how much you prove your relationship with this sponsor, and do you have the documents to back up those proofs, right? So it's very important, right? But the consistent documents that I know that every sponsor should have, or every student should have in their application, right, to show relationship or the legitimacy of a sponsorship is a notarized affidavit of support, right, and proof of relationship documents as well, and also sponsorship letters, right. This sponsorship letter would properly explain who the sponsor is, how their funds came to be. That is what they do for a living. If they're business people or they're also 9 to 5 hours as well, right? The sponsors have to also provide documents, provide their bank statements, their proof of source of funds. Could be business receipts. It could be investment as well, their pay slips, retirement statements, if they do these contributions as well, right? Also, lump sums in sponsor accounts should also be explained, right? So, like I said, like the previous document I mentioned, these should also be provided in your application. Sponsors could be your parents, your siblings, a corporate body, it could be, whoever it is, right? But just put it at the back of your mind that you must properly explain who the sponsor is and the proof of their relationship, and also explain why they are sponsoring you, right? And then is that sponsorship a loan or is it a gift, right? Are you going to pay it back? These have to be explained in your application. And then the next topic in this segment is, do microfinance banks work for POI, right? Um, we all know that according to the CBN, right, it's law that microfinance banks are, you know, um, only allowed to, to operate in specified, uh, let's say, regions. To put it that way, yes. So they are like regional microfinance banks, right? They are national ones as well, right? So they are not allowed to um, operate internationally, right? So these banks only operate locally, and it will not, show enough proof to the visa officer that you can have access to those funds if your bank is just operating locally, right? We know that the easiest way to access your funds abroad is dollar cards, for instance, or your bank can do international transfers, right? Microfinance banks are not able to do these transactions because they are, they're not allowed to do that, right? They're not allowed to do that according to, the Central Bank of Nigeria, right? So that is, that'll be evaluation to your study, permit application, right? Avoid microfinance banks. You can only use commercial banks as well as international banks as well, right? So you can put that at the back of your mind. The final topic in this segment would be common mistakes leading to visa refusals, when it comes to POF, right? That is showing insufficient or incomplete financial evidence. That could be you're not showing enough documents that you're financially stable, right? It's very important to, show yourself, right? Show yourself, show yourself, right? You have to provide proof, provide documents, and properly explain them. If it would mean that you have to, put a page on your POF, right? Put page numbers, right? And at the beginning of your POF, you can also do like a table of content, right? To explain, the pages that these proof of funds are listed, right? And it's very much easier for the visa officer to follow that, content, right? And to easy to locate where it is properly explained in your SOP, right? So please, right, when you put in your application, include sufficient and complete, financial evidence. The next one will be submitting bank statements that are, less than the required duration, right? Don't make mistakes in, the countries that I've mentioned. Do your proper research, right? And if you need help as well, you could reach out to us, right? We could assist you, with your application, when it comes to um, studying abroad, right? Like we've also seen unexplained large deposits or transfers, right? Those are lump sums as well. So you have to properly, explain those deposits and transactions. Using business or joint accounts without proper explanation. So let's say a couple, for instance, wants to, in a couple account wants to sponsor, let's say one student, right? One of the couples, right? And then you didn't properly explain how you access those funds, like I said. So you have to, include it, right? That okay, this account is, a joint account, for instance, and to have access to this one, my spouse will also, have to approve, these transactions. This is also, an opportunity for you to explain, this kind of account. Yes, and then documents in the required format or language. These countries would require you to submit your documents in English language, right? If it's not in English language, you can get an authorized translator, for your documents. Failure to prove genuine relationship with sponsors. Yes, I've, properly explained that. You have to, explain who your sponsors are and why they're sponsoring you. Providing funds less than the minimum required threshold. Now, this is very tricky, right? In the sense that, we all know the naira, and international currencies like the US dollars, Canadian dollars, pounds, for instance. The exchange rate is very volatile, right? It's not stable. So make sure you use what's it called? These different countries have different platforms where they host, the official exchange rate, right? For Canada, it's on the Bank of Canada, right? So you can go to their website to have the interest rates, right? And then in the US as well, I think you can use xe.com for that, and then UK, Rwanda. So just do your research, right, on this exchange rate platforms, right? And make sure you have the correct amount. If you're providing a proof of fund in Naira, right, you have the correct exchange rates for that. In summary, the proof of funds is a very, very critical, document and aspects, right, for your study visas. Will demonstrate your financial stability, right, to cover all your expenses. So these requirements, like you said, varies across countries in terms of amount, in terms of document types, statement duration, and sponsor documentation, right? Longer bank statements give more credibility, but don't exceed, the stipulated duration that, each of these countries, um, request, right? So we can have 3 months back statement that's a few pages. We can also have 3 months bank statements that are lots of pages, right? So these kind of bank statements would show weight in your application. Lump sums must be explained. Non-traditional accounts can sometimes supplement traditional proof as well. So try to avoid all these mistakes and yes, take the things that we've said into account and yeah, wish you the best in your study permit applications. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wally. Thank you so much for that section. Yeah, so quickly, So guys, if you have any question regarding proof of funds, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. I will be noting it. We'll have a Q&A segment at the end of the section. So quickly, our second speaker for the day is Chibuzo Jibuno. He is the Loan and Financial Service Manager Africa for Apply Board. Chibuzo is a seasoned financial services manager at Apply Board with over 6 years of experience spanning finance, educational consulting, and international development. He has a strong background in relationship management and strategic partnerships and bringing deep expertise in international educational loans. So basically, if you want loan to study abroad, he's your guy. So listen to everything he has to say. Chibuzo, thank you so much for joining us, and over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Peace. It's exactly 4:45 from Lagos, Nigeria, and I want to thank every one of us who have taken the time to be on this call. We know how our Saturdays can be here. We're mostly out. We're not going for a wedding. I mean, it's just that time of the week where we have our time, but you have taken our time to prioritize, and we're going to try to make sure that it is worth it for you. So I'll very quickly run you through what you need to know. So first and foremost, let us establish a couple of basics. We've seen over the years that, just before I begin to speak to my slide, right, that the major reason for visa refusals, a lot of us check all the boxes. So you want to go abroad, you've done your bits, you've arranged all of your certificates, but then you don't have the funds. And which is why we have put this exactly together for you, to let you know exactly what you need to do. So I'm going to be speaking to assessing loans. So we know we have the student loans, and the student loans, we have a couple of them, especially like locally in Nigeria, where if you want to school in a Nigerian university, the Nigerian government have made that available for Nigerians here on the call. But we're speaking to those who are saying, I want to actually study abroad, but somehow I've not been able to make this work for me. So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll let you know exactly what you need and what helps your chances so that we can make this work for you. So first and foremost, SeamlessVisa is partnered with Apply Board, which is the firm I work with. And what we have done at Apply Board is we have established partnerships with major financial institutions, international lenders. So we're not saying banks that are not into this business. We're saying banks that have continually disbursed funds to people who are looking at going abroad. And what we have done at Apply Board is we have established an exclusive partnership with them to make the process for you as a student seamless without hitches. One, and secondly, would also be that all of the loans that we're giving you do not require a co-signer, do not require a collateral. So we're not going to be asking you to come along with your rich uncle to stand in for you. We're not going to be asking you for land documents. We're not going to be asking for any of that. So all of our loans are no co-signer, no collateral. So we're also going to be helping you to make the whole process for you a bit stable by providing you, that visa support letter. So our visa support letters, which I will speak to more, is something that helps improve your chance. So when we have approved your loan, we're going to give you a letter that says, yes, we have taken care of your tuition, we've taken care of your living expenses, and to the tune of what amount we have done that for you as well. Of course, applying through SeamlessVisa for these loans also means that you're going to be getting high percentage approval rates. So presently, we have over 6% approval rates, and all of our loans, you can begin the process even before you receive a letter of acceptance. So a letter of acceptance simply just means that you have gotten an offer, whether conditional, whether unconditional. The school has actually said, okay, we are willing to let you study with us. So even before you receive that letter, we're saying that you can begin to process your loans already. We do have fast processing. So we're saying that once we have received all the documents we need from you, in 30 minutes, we can let you know whether or not you are eligible for the loan. So we're going to let you know later down the slide what exactly is the documents that we need from you. And in 30 minutes, when we receive all those documents, we can let you know if you're actually eligible for that loan. What is the purpose and benefits of this loan? First and foremost, we're saying that for you as students, we're helping to increase your opportunity. So firstly would be that your chances of visa approvals are skyrocketed already. So when you get to the visa consular, majority of the time, they are looking at, do you have the financial means? Adewale had already buttressed so much on that. I think we can just take another 2 seconds to just applaud him for doing justice to what we actually really do need regarding everything, just the proof of funds. So these people are going to, first and foremost, they want to know, can you actually take care of your tuition? You have paid some parts. Can you take care of the rest? Do you have a proof for that? So these are the questions that they're asking. So they don't want you to get to their country and then probably drop out, constitute nuisance. So these are the things you're checking out for. But when we give you that visa support letter, what it explicitly does for you is it just pushes your chances. So you're saying and you're telling the visa consulars that, hey, I have taken care of my visa, and this is taken care of by an established financial institution. These are known names. So we're not saying these are people who are new to the business. So these consulars already know about these people. So presenting that letter just skyrockets your chances of getting your visa approved. Next slide, please. All right. So I'm going to need your very, very rapt attention here. So this is exactly what our loan terms look like. First and foremost, we're doing a minimum of $10,000 and a maximum of $100,000. And I believe that everything you're going to be needing falls within this sphere. $50,000 is what we can do per academic term. And we are willing to cover for your visa, tuition fees, meals, books, all of that. If you're going to, say, a US destination. But if you're going to Canada, we're going to be covering your post-visa tuition fees. And by post-visa tuition fees, I mean, if you're going to need to take care of anything before your visa, so probably you need to take care of your tuition deposit, whatever the amount is, take care of that. Why we are asking you to take care of that is all of our loan eligibility requirements are always revolved around your commitment as a student. So our financial partners are willing to give you money, but they also want to see that. I'm going to take, for instance, Samuel, who is on the call now. Samuel has already shown interest in actually assessing or getting loans. But I have told Samuel that I don't need a collateral, I don't need a co-signer. So on what basis then do I want to give Samuel a loan? So one of the things that our financial partners are looking out for is your level of preparedness. Did you just wake up and make a decision to take a loan? Have you been saving towards the loan? Do you have anything to show us? What have you done up until this moment to get you prepared for this loan? So these are the questions that they are asking. So one of the things is, have you taken care of your tuition deposit? It sends a clear message to our financial partners that yes, you are actually committed to this journey. You have paid your tuition deposit. You just don't have the rest. And so they are evaluating your profile and saying, okay, there is a level of commitment here. This student already has these. They have a level of savings. They've paid their tuition deposit. I think this is someone we need to support. So for every other destination outside of the US, our financial partners are going to be taking care of post-visa tuition fees. For you as students, this is an amazing news. You have up to 10 to 20 years principal repayment period. So what this means is that this is how long you have to pay back. So we're not going to hurry you. We're not going to say that in the next 2 years, the next 3 years, you need to pay. We're saying you have at least 10 years to pay back. But please, let me put a disclaimer on this call. For every single person who can hear me, you don't need to wait for 10 years to clear out your loan. Please, you can work towards 5 years. I mean, we've not had anybody up until now who have stayed more than that. Okay, we'll have someone who's running on 7 years presently, but you can plan yourself and in 5 years be able to take care of the loan. Truth is, our financial partners actually want you to stay more on the loan because the more you stay, the more you pay. So your interest is per annum for every single year that you are on the loan. So my advice to you is always to clear out the loan within 5 to 10 years maximum. You have 6 months after graduation to begin payments. So it means that once you're graduated in January, so we're saying that somewhere around July, August, that is when you're mandated to now begin to pay something on your loan. However, while you're schooling, if you're utilizing your 20 hours per week for work, you should be able to begin to take care of the interest. So you remember that the interest is per annum. So when we're going to give you that visa support later, there's going to be a breakdown, let you know exactly what you're meant to pay every day or every month rather for the next 5 years, for the next 7 years, depending on you. So we're going to do a breakdown for that. So we're asking that if you're utilizing your 20 hours per week for work, begin to take care of the simple interest so it doesn't compound. However, if you land an amazing job, so this is an example I like to use all the time. You get in some very good money. You don't need to wait until you have, say, maybe you are approaching the 5 years before you clear it out. If you come back to us and say, I want to clear out this loan in 2 years, what we're going to do for you is we're going to prorate whatever we've calculated for you downwards. We bring it down, and then you pay exactly what you're meant to pay. You pay the exact interest that you're meant to pay at the time you're deciding to clear out the loan. So you don't need to wait until, so there are no prepayment penalty charges. That's just what that means. We're not going to charge you because you came back to us to say you want to clear out the loan on time. And of course, these are our loan eligible countries here. I already mentioned that we're going to be giving you a loan support later, a visa support later that takes care of everything that you need. Now, how are loans viewed by visa officers? 1, question here is, are loans acceptable as proof of funds? The question is an absolute yes. So, like I had mentioned earlier, right? Everything that happens throughout this whole process, one will give you the visa support later. What it does for you is it just shows that you don't need an extra proof of funds. So that later in itself serves as a proof of funds. So the visa consulars are immediately shifting their attention away from funding. So now you have told us that you're going to study abroad. We want to see the documents showing your financial backing. Have you taken care of the tuition? Have you taken care of the deposits? Have you done any of that? So once they have confirmed all of that, the next question is, they are moving away from funding. So they're asking other questions because your loans have been securely shown that it has been taken care of by that visa support later. And then what should you focus on preparing for your visa interview after you have secured the loan? So now, I know that Adewale has also spoken about it, but let me just buttress a bit. Now, attention has shifted for you from finances. Now, questions around finances are no longer or may no longer be asked. So now visa officers want to know, now that you have gotten the fund to study, how do you prepare now? How are we sure that you're going to be, returning back to your country? So that's where the attention shift. That's one thing you need to take care of. So you don't need to go there regardless of whatever your motive is. Please, when you face those visa officers, when you have now prepared, now you have your funding, when you face them, questions are going to be asked around your motivation. So first and foremost, you need to appear confident. That is one. They're going to ask you questions around how you intend to repay the loan. Like Adewale had mentioned, that is a very vital part of all of this. Now you've gotten the loan, how do you want to repay that? So you need to have a breakdown of your plan. So yes, you already have some savings. You can quickly mention that there are some properties that you have. You remember that all of our loans are no collateral, no co-signer, but you can just quickly highlight that this is the amount of savings that you already have. This is a property that you also have, probably somewhere. This is the valuation of your business or your father's business. And then you have a proof to also show for that. So these are the things that actually heighten their chances after you have gotten, the funds that you need for your program. And now this would be like the last slide and what I like to call the most important. What do you need? First and foremost, we're going to be asking you for reference details. So reference details is not a reference letter. We're going to ask for the full name of your reference, the relationship you have with the reference, the phone number of that reference, and their email ID. So we then will reach out to them and do some sort of character check. And then the list of documents, your international passport, very important, updated resume. If you have an offer letter already from the university, awesome. Your bachelor's transcript, very important. Government ID card. So this government ID card is speaking to an additional government ID card. So you have your international passport. So we're saying driver's license, national ID, voter's card, any of that can serve. And then English proficiency scorecard. Now I will just talk a bit on this. This English proficiency scorecard, we have a lot of them. So we have Duolingo, we have GRE, TOEFL, IELTS. These help your chances. Now the school you're going may not require it, but I always advise that once you have this, what the message is sent to our financial partners is you are actually prepared. You remember that we are evaluating your level of preparedness for your program. So once you can show us that you actually have an English proficiency, even when you actually do not need it, it just sends a message that you are actually ready for this. So it helps your chances as well. And of course, we're going to be asking for your complete home country address, a proof of it. So maybe a bank affidavit, a bank statement, an affidavit, anything that just shows us that you have lived in a particular location for over 3 months. So these are the things that we're going to be looking for. And that will bring me to the end of my slides. Okay, additional documents, very important. So this proof of funds that we're going to be requesting for, this bank statement rather, proof of additional funds. You remember that this is not exactly proof of funds. Our financial partners are just saying, we need to see a level of commitment. Can you show us a savings that has brought you up until this moment? Let us see something you have done, coming into requesting for this loan. So you can show a 3 months, at least 3 months. That's what I always advise. At least 3 months of a savings account. It can be your name. It could be in anyone's name, but we always prefer that it is in your name. But of course, it can be in anyone's name. And of course, if you have paid your tuition deposit already, the receipt for your tuition deposit can also serve. And then secondly, we're going to be asking for the proof of the address you had given us initially. That will bring me to the end of my segment. I'll see you later on when we take our Q&A. Thank you so much. Peace over to you now.
Thank you so much for that section. I hope we are learning a thing or two. And we are now heading to our final segment of the day. And our speaker for today is Osipana Awudu. He is the co-founder and CEO of SeamlessVisa. So Osipana leverages over a decade of expertise in legal operations, compliance, and program management. He is focused on building robust systems and processes that enable SeamlessVisa to deliver exceptional results for students on a mission to study abroad. Hannah, thank you so much for being here with us. And yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Peace. Just want to confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Excellent. So thank you, everyone. We're very mindful of your time, and we thank you for taking the time, especially on Saturday. You know, there's only so much time you have to recharge and relax, but we're grateful that you decided to come on board. We're trying to chop this full of information for you, for your benefit. So importantly, I want to share information about SeamlessVisa, how we can help you in this journey. We're making a pitch for you to consider us to support your study abroad goals. To start with us, to get your study abroad, we start with the consultation. This is designed to be efficient, very personalized, a review of your own specific situations, your own personal circumstances. And so our goal is to skip any generic advice. We want to focus on what matters the most, which is to quickly understand your interests and your future expectations. You know, this allows us to work with you to create an application strategy that's carefully tailored to what you want to gain from the study abroad process. And we want to maximize those returns on your investment in time and money. So it's important to choose the right destination, and that's very, very crucial. So any aspiring student today, I mean, there is a growing list of countries around the world that are gaining recognition as top academic destinations. Of course, with so many countries to choose from, how do you find the right one? So on our part, we're giving helpful guidance. We're opening up premium opportunities in especially Australia, Canada, Ireland, United Kingdom, and United States. Some important facts to consider when you're trying to select which country to study in. Cost of education, of course, cost of living, which includes housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and even post-graduation opportunities, you know, availability of work, options for staying after your program, and also the reputation of that program and that degree program, so that even if you do choose to return home, then that degree program is recognized and advantageous to you. So students interested in gaining work experience or even migrating permanently, key aspects to consider include the country's visa rules for working during and after study. You know, the availability of post-study work permits, for example, in the UK, the graduate route, in Canada, the PGWP, which is the post-graduation work permit, and also considering the job market conditions and the demand for your field of study. Cultural fit, social environment, you know, this is very crucial, especially to an international student. A degree of culture shock is expected, but it's very important for international students to be able to adapt to their cultural environment. That impacts your experience, your and even your study outcomes. I have been an international student. Our co-founders have been international students. In fact, that was the genesis of the mission to start this company and to support people as much as we can through these processes that can be very, very complex. Our aim is to simplify it and then maximize your best efforts to achieve success at each area. When you have to select a school and a degree program, then of course there are very, very key considerations, and these include your career goals, employability, the academic reputation, and the quality of the program, financial considerations. Many of these you've heard before. I don't hope my aim is not to echo what you've heard before, but indeed I am stating things that are just some of the important things you need to consider. We keep this in mind when we're working with you to craft a plan, listening to your interests, but also bringing up some aspects that you may not have considered. And then we have the answers when it comes to whether or not a school, a program, you know, meets those goals. We want to present options to you and help you make the best decision you can for what you want out of this. We offer admissions and scholarship, even loan guidance. You've heard some of that. We help you to prepare a strong application when you've selected a program to maximize your chances of success. Our service packages, they offer you an opportunity to gain a competitive edge in your applications. They are transparent in pricing. In fact, if you wish to further customize your study abroad plan, beyond what is offered in the packages, we have optional add-on services, and we're talking about the kind of things we can do for you, which include preparation of compelling essays and personal statements, recommendations for recommendation letter counseling, and then helping you navigate the I-20 process. For those who wish to study in the US, the US visa application process, interview support as well. Some add-ons include Ivy League school application support for those who want to apply to Ivy League schools, and they are broken down so that you can pay for just what you need and no more than that. This is our goal. And in addition to the US visa support role that we play, two very important tools that we want to highlight today. One is the application platform that we built with very, very specialized tools to avoid errors. Also to give an overall assessment of the strength of your application based on the information you give, based on your responses to the application questions. We back up this technology-driven approach. We back it up with human beings, the team, very, very experienced and knowledgeable in the field of immigration, in the field of higher education as well. So we bring that wealth of experience together. We also match our resources beyond our company, partnering with other companies. You've heard from Kibuzo now in Apply Board. We don't spare any resources because we want to give the best to our clients. And so this is what motivates us. So in trying to be mindful of your time, I am, trying to very, very quickly make this case that you can't go wrong with selecting SeamlessVisa as your partner for your study abroad goals, especially because of the way we focus on you and your desires and your goals, and bringing information to you that you may not know or may not appreciate, and then giving you every opportunity to enhance your applications, your selections, to deliver success in the end. If we had more time, I could tell you much more about the many people that we've helped successfully for this. I want to give just a very, very brief synopsis, just a few key details about one client that we successfully assisted. This client, we're using her name Egbeya O, not to go too much, but the client came to us with seeking admission, really, two courses in mind, philosophy and project management, especially UK. And so in February of this year, we got that initial consultation. We considered a range of UK universities, Russell Group, mid-tier schools as well. And we were able to secure admissions to 4 different universities: University of Birmingham, University of Hertfordshire, the Royal Holloway University, and University of South Wales. So the programs, the courses of study, philosophy in some schools, project management, and others. And we got scholarships as well, because scholarships is one of the add-on services that we provide. They're optional. But indeed, if you do tack on that service to your package, you can expect that we'll fight vigorously to secure as many scholarships as we can that will aid your financial plan for your course of study. So essentially, we assisted this particular client with crafting a personal statement, restructuring their CV, and providing recommendation letter samples that were very helpful to produce the ones we needed for application. And ultimately, we got admissions and scholarship success. Between February and August of this year, the client was also redirected, from the first time we started consulting until later, so we could highlight a clear academic path. Our goal was to balance her interest in arts and management, and we did successfully achieve that for this client. And that could be the same for you, certainly, if you work with us. Just want to say that SeamlessVisa is devoted, and everyone here devoted to working with our clients to achieve success at every turn. I want to say we have a comprehensive service model, and it's designed to help you get it right the first time. We want to save you time and money and stress more than anything else to maximize your chances of success. Man, we can't thank you enough for taking this time to listen to what we have to say. We hope that you definitely learned lots of information that's useful to you. And so we want to leave you with, we want to cue up a little video. Yeah. One powerful tool that we have in our arsenal is an AI-based interview preparer called FiBi. And this is designed squarely to prepare you for your visa interview. Very, very, it's something we've developed over time. We're very confident in it, and we'll continue to develop. We want to give you a little preview of what FiBi can do for you. And so we're going to give you a short demo video to see FiBi in action, and then I'll come back right after that.
Have you ever been denied a US visa before? No, this will be my first time applying for US visa.
What school and program will you be attending in the US, and when does your program start? Who is funding your education?
I will be applying for, I applied for MIT. I am going for a master's degree in computer science and engineering. And my programs, my tuition will be funded by savings I have and a part loan, which I have already started the process.
Thank you for your response. Your answer provides important details, including the school, MIT, the program, Master's in Computer Science and Engineering, and your funding sources, savings, and a partial loan. However, for a stronger and more convincing response during your interview, you should specify the exact program start date, clarify the breakdown of your funding sources with specific amounts, and mention who is providing the loan. Consular officers may want clear documentation and details. Here's how you could make your answer even stronger. I have been accepted for a master's degree in computer science and engineering at MIT, and my program begins in August 2024. My education will be funded through $30,000 in personal savings, and I have secured an educational loan of $40,000 from XYZ Bank with the approval letter in hand. Would you like to try rephrasing your answer with these details before we continue?
No, please. I would memorize them later.
Thank you for letting me know. Let's continue. Why did you choose MIT and this particular program for your studies in the United States?
I chose MIT because of the strength in the system and innovation that aligns with my goals.
Your answer shares a general reason, but is not detailed enough for a visa interview. A consular officer will expect you to show a clear, specific connection between MIT's unique qualities and your personal academic or career goals. Mentioning strength in the system and innovation is a start, but you need to highlight what about MIT and its program stands out to you compared to other universities and how it relates directly to your plans. A stronger answer could be, I chose MIT because its computer science and engineering department consistently ranks among the best in the world, and the program is known for hands-on research in artificial intelligence, which matches my long-term goal of developing AI solutions for healthcare back in my home country. Their collaboration with tech leaders and the opportunity to work in cutting-edge labs were major factors in my decision. Try to use very specific examples and clearly link your choice to your future plans. This creates a much more convincing impression for your interview. Let's go to the next question. How did you learn about MIT and this program?
Thank you very much. That's a short preview of what FiBi can do. I want to stress that FiBi is designed to personalize your experience, and there is also a feature that allows you to upload your application document I-20 and get some more personalized questions tailored to your own specific circumstances. Right now, you are able to try FiBi AI for free. If you go to our website, SeamlessVisa.com, and then you just click on FiBi and then try that tool out, see how it works for you, see how it can help you. We hope you'll find that really valuable. We can't thank you enough for connecting with us today. We thank you not just for your time, for your attention as well. We invite you to visit our website, SeamlessVisa.com/study abroad, to find out how we can help you. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you all very much. And peace.
I think we'll be moving on quickly to our question and answer segment. Yeah, we'll be moving real quick, so I just have to get to the chat box and read out the questions. I think I'm seeing a few questions we already have. I believe the first person who asked about GIC proof of funds for Canada, the speaker had already responded to you. I don't know if you still need any form of clarification regarding that, because I'm seeing that you still sent another message saying, hello, I understand, but does the GIC receipt and 1 year tuition fee suffice for the 4 months proof of funds? And let's say the candidate has like 10 million in his account for flight tickets, which can be a lump sum of. Okay, I'm not sure. Your question is pretty straightforward. Tofi Express, but Adewale, yeah, I don't know if you can maybe say 18 or 2 on that, just to clarify and make sure that he understands everything he needs to. So,
yes, I understand, where the person is coming from, right? I just explained that, the case is personal, right? And we don't have all the information to give them the best possible advice, that will be instrumental to their needs, right? So they can reach out to us personally, and we'll be glad to speak with them.
Okay. Okay, great. I think we have another question that says, what countries does your loan support? I think that question is for Chibuzo. Is asking what countries does your loan support? That question is by Banke Olanipekun.
Hi, I will actually have answered that question already, still on the chat box, but our programs basically support just US, Canada, UK, and Australia. But presently, where we are now, we're presently just supporting US and Canada, pending when we receive, go ahead for UK and Australia.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think most of the other questions have been answered in the chat box. So if we have, I think I'll give room for one more question. If we have any other question, please feel free to drop it in the chat box right now so that your question can be answered. But for any other question outside that, you can feel free to ask us any question you have. We have a WhatsApp community, which a link will be dropped in the chat box to that community. So feel free to join that community right now. And I mean, we have our experts in that group. They would answer all your questions, every question you have about studying abroad, about loans, proof of funds, even visa, the visa interview, that will be in the chat. So I believe those links have been dropped right now in the chat box. Feel free to join our WhatsApp community, as well as follow us on all our social media platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. We post a lot of scholarship opportunities, and a lot are going out in the next couple of weeks, so you don't want to miss out on any, and you want to have like a strong application going out so you can secure some of the scholarships as well. So it would be great if you follow us on these pages and join our community as well, so you get first-hand information on all of this. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I don't think I saw any other question in the chat box, so I believe we are all good. So thank you so much for joining, but I would still stay a little while just so all these links that are being dropped in the chat box, you're joining our WhatsApp group, you're following us on TikTok, you're following us on Instagram, you're following us on, LinkedIn, and everywhere you can follow us on. So I mean, you can choose the platforms you want, or it'd be nice to follow us everywhere because we have different things going out in all of these different platforms. So thank you, everyone. I know we took a bit of your weekend. Thank you so much for staying put, for joining us. And we hope to see you in our next webinar section again. Thank you so much. Our speakers, oh my God, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Wale. Thank you, Mr. Henna. Thank you, Chibuzo, for joining us and blessing us with your knowledge, your insights, your expertise. Thank you so much for being on this call with us today. We really appreciate you. I jotted down a couple of things because even me, I need some of the support. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. We appreciate you at SeamlessVisa as well. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. And I think that brings us to the end of this section. Feel free to, like I said, if you have more questions, it would be nice. It would be very important that you join our WhatsApp community, because that's where you get our attention easily. And any question you have, we're going to answer you immediately.